So where we left off last time, I was making a tin sapling. And I eventually got that figured out, and I decided to make sugarcane seeds to try and start, farming a little bit. And I also wanted to just finish most of the achievements in general. So I was looking through some of them, I figured out some ways that I might be able to get them, and I realized that a lot of them are very difficult. Like getting a apple sapling. Then I also learned about bonsai pots, and I also learned about lapis saplings. Now most of these saplings are actually pretty easy to make. It just took a while for the grinding to actually get them. I then tried to sort out my chest a little bit after the creeper blew it up and kinda messed everything up, I just wanted to have everything somewhat organized. I eventually figured out how to get a bottle, which I need to make a lapis sapling. Now, with a lapis sapling, I can obviously make lapis, which is useful for me, and it also allows me to get the achievement done. I think that's what these first few episodes were about, is getting achievements done, and just progressing, I would say. So, I made the lapis sapling, I planted the lapis sapling, and I was looking at more achievements, and then I figured out the I don't know achievement, which is right click on a cauldron filled with milk while holding a lapis sapling. At the time, I didn't have anything that would spawn cows or anything, so I couldn't get milk, so that one wasn't going to happen anytime soon. I also just spent some more time researching on if there was other ways to get milk, because hey, I don't have a cow, but maybe there's other ways to get milk. And nope, it really isn't. I then spent some time building some more tree areas for trees to grow, that way that I will be able to plant more. This all basically becomes useless later, but it's fine. I'm not that mad about it. Then was also working on lighting it up, because I realized that with it not lighted up, a lot of mobs were gonna spawn. After successfully fending off the mobs, I made another lapis sapling, because it's always better to have more than one lapis sapling. I worked on getting a bed, because that was one of the achievements. Now, later I realized that a lot of this stuff where it was not working on getting achievements, then that was the achievements weren't really working as intended. But I also figured out from looking it up that you can plant apple seeds, which you can get from crushing an apple, and make an apple tree. So that's what I was working on. I also really wanted to upgrade my smeltery, because currently it was only porcelain, but having it be seared bricks would make it would allow it to not only contain more, but allow it to heat up more. So that was very useful in figuring out how to do. But I also need more seared stone, so I need to make more grout, which again is decently hard to get. I also figured out that in fact having a seared furnace was not the right play. In fact, you needed something else. It was a thing called a seared tank. The seared tank allowed me to put lava in it, and it would heat up the smeltery. I also made an iron tree, which did take a decent amount of time to get, but it was way easier when I had the seared brick smeltery. Now, having an iron sapling is very useful, and very crucial if I want to make things that are good, or progress in any form, really, because iron is very much needed for this mod pack. Also at the time, I was just trying to get more lapis and everything, and I made lapis amber, which turned into molten lapis, which molten lapis didn't really help me. I also wanted to get a lead thing, but I soon figured out that if you craft 9 acorns together, 9 lapis acorns, then you can get a lapis block, which I could use to get lead amber, which I can melt and put over I can melt over a dark oak sapling to get a lead sapling, which is very useful. I was also just wanting to expand the island, because I really wanted to find I needed to find an area to make like an animal farm. Now, an animal farm was a very crucial step in this, because it would allow me to get milk, which you already know is very useful. So I spent a lot on getting dirt, which allowed me to make a 3x3 area. Definitely gonna spawn some mobs on there, you know? Totally. I also used it to try and get dandelions and poppies, which allowed me to get redstone trees and gold trees. I also got a pumpkin plant, which never inevitably grew, so it was kind of just useless. But I made the gold amber, which I can melt over a, and I was really looking for red here, poppies, because that would allow me to get redstone trees, which are also very necessary because there's a lot of automation and machines in this mod pack that you really is nice to have. So it's really nice to have redstone. I also tried to expand my farm a little bit by planting some carrot, potato, and lettuce seeds. I also made a shield so it would help me with the mobs that were inevitably spawning. Except there was only like 2, so I made a shield for nothing. I spent some more time trying to get poppies, and it honestly didn't take as long as I thought it would. I was also planting some more dirt saplings to try and get more dirt, which would allow me to expand it more. Now, dirt would not really be an obstacle later in the future when I figured out a tech that allowed me to skip a lot of it, but right now it was very necessary for me to get dirt. And I finally got it. I got redstone saplings. Later I figured out if you plant a beet, you can turn a beet into red dye. I also needed a silver sapling. And to get a silver sapling, I had to pour silver over a mineral sapling, which took me a little while to figure out, as in looking at the UI. But yeah, I think here's where I figure out the tech. Basically, you can create infinite dirt, and it's very useful, especially for building an animal structure. After I had the idea, I decided to make a few more buckets, and then I figured out the tech. So you basically make water muddy by putting dirt in it, and then you put leaves into the dirt, or into the muddy water, and you get 4 grass blocks for every 4 leaves that you put in. But the thing is, you can break one of those grass blocks to get dirt, so you can get infinite dirt. As long as you have leaves, that is. So it was basically me just constantly filling up containers with dirt and water, and then just breaking more dirt to get dirt, or breaking more grass blocks to get dirt. I really thought expanding it this much would help, but inevitably I figured out later on that it actually has to be a certain distance away from the island. But that comes soon enough. I also realized that a lot more mobs were spawning than I expected. Mainly creepers. So, I really had to deal with them. I don't know why I dropped down here, and inevitably it was probably for some stupid reason. All the mobs just ganged up on me, and I died. So, a cool thing about Sky Factory is there's this thing where after you die, you are a ghost for like 30 seconds. And mobs can't see you, and the only way for a mob to actually like hurt you is if you hurt them back, or to notice you for 30 seconds. I really abused this infinite water source on just jumping into the void, because it really saved me there, and I was very grateful. And my pumpkin still wasn't growing, so I was kind of confused, but inevitably it was fine. I really wanted to make a regular farm, you know, for like wheat and stuff. So I decided to do that, and it was a lot harder, I would say, because I had to dig down a certain amount. It also required a lot of dirt, but you already know I had a lot of that from the infinite dirt trick that I figured out. I then just planted all the seeds I had to try and make a lot of crops. I would inevitably regret later not organizing these better, because I kind of just put them wherever. But I fixed that later. I also learned that you can make a redstone block the same way you can make a lapis block, And at this point, I was kind of getting sidetracked from making the silver amber to get the silver tree, which will allow me to get a diamond tree. I was more focused on getting other things, like plastic. Now, plastic is very important, because plastic allows you to make most of the machinery in certain mods. So basically what I did was I made a latex processing unit. It uses wood and water to make plastic, or small plastic. But the only way to get the latex from the wood is to use a block breaker, or a block crusher. I also really wanted to make an ingot cast, because ingot cast would allow me to get lead ingots, which would be really useful. I also inevitably made another melter for no reason, other than to pour the gold onto it, which did work, but it was just so stupid. I don't know why I did it. It just took so much time, it inevitably wasn't worth it. I just had a leftover melter for no reason. Now that I had made the cast, I was able to make lead ingots. And after tearing that down, and also grabbing the lava source, now I just had a melter for no reason. I needed energy transfer pipes, leadstone flux duct, which would allow me to get energy from something else, and bring it to my latex processing unit. Now, originally I thought I could just get energy from putting lava into it, which didn't work. I eventually figured it out. You need to put a generator there, and the only generator you can get without plastic, which is what I'm trying to make, is a really bad one that doesn't really work that well. And since I had time on my hands, I just decided to build out and try and find a flower plains. Now, flower plains are important because they would allow me to get gray flowers, which would allow me to get gray dye, which I need to make silver. I figured it out later, but I didn't need to build this far out. I just needed some bone meal and some squid ink and some black dye, and then I could make light gray dye. This entire process was just kind of obsolete. It didn't really do anything. I didn't even discover anything cool. It was mainly just ocean the entire time, as you can see from the biome setting in the F3. And all I eventually found was a swamp, and I spent so many oak slabs getting there, it was eventually not worth it. I did get the blue flowers, which is not the ones I need. I need the gray flowers, but it just wasted me a lot of time. That's all it did. Now, hopefully next episode I can get to diamonds, or a diamond tree, which I need gray dye for, or light gray dye to get silver to get diamond trees. And a lot of these things will be useful in the future, and hopefully I can continue playing this.